well, 1 million stories about climate change there, and they have a pre-COP event. Maybe they can tell you more about it. And I believe Mindahi will be there, and his wife is bringing Indigenous leaders from the South. I'm not sure how many, but she will be there too.
Okay.
Yeah, we can let you know more about the initiatives that POP will work on. So in case you would like to collaborate, we will be really glad to work with you.
Yeah. Sure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So maybe we can start, Michelle. Great.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's good to be here with all of you. We thank each one of you for your participation and attendance at this event. My name is Michelle. I'm an honorary multimedia mentor with the POP movement. Since this is a 5-day event covering different subjects, we intend to produce a joint declaration consolidating the discussions and the outcomes from all of the sessions. So please kindly add your name in the Google form, and this will be circulated in the chat box if you wish to be a signatory for the declaration. And we will go ahead and email you the final draft at the end of the 5-day event. The panel today will discuss how climate change has affected the well-being of Native peoples, as well as the strategies that can be undertaken to face this challenge. I will now give way to Vanessa Hernandez, who is a youth mentor with the POP movement.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you everybody for being here. A big welcome to you, and we are really glad to welcome you in this great panel where we will discuss different ideas, actions, and seek for solutions from different communities of original nations. To begin and to know a little bit more about what are we bringing today, I would like to ask if Vera can talk to us a little bit more about this event and the objectives, and to give the welcome to everybody. Thank you, Vera.
Thank you so much. My name is Vera Urtaza. I work with the World Council of Peoples for the United Nations, and I will speak on behalf of Dr. Mindahi Bastira. I want to thank everyone for being here. The main objective for this event is to discuss how climate change has affected the well-being of Native peoples and the strategies that can be undertaken to face this challenge. We're trying to learn from Indigenous communities and original nations how to change our mindset and be more sustainable. They have been the stewards and the guardians of these territories for centuries and millennia in some cases, and they haven't destroyed them the way that we have with the whole planet. So we're trying to get that way of living into everyone, well, to everyone, more like, and just to learn from them and to respect the earth, cherish it, know it. And they have this amazing knowledge about the soils, how the weather patterns work, and when to plant a seed and everything. They just know it, and we need to learn from them. And also we need to learn about how they respect everything that they take from the earth. And that's something that we're not really doing. We're having so much waste. And well, that's it. We need to learn from them how to respect the earth and how to love it more like. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone being here. And well, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vera. So now we would like to present our panelists from today. We have Ria Joy Odong. We have Juan on Design Manuel, Kevin Deere, and Jorge Garcia. Thank you so much for joining us today to our honorable panelists, and thank you for sharing all this knowledge with everybody today. So I would like to pass the word to Michelle so she can make the questions to our panelists and start the discussion. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you, Vane. It is now time to start the question session, and it's important to note that each panelist has 5 minutes to address each of the questions that are going to be posed. And so the first question is for Kevin Deere, and the question is, for Indigenous communities, wellness represents a holistic state of being, incorporating not only physical health, but also mental wellness, spirituality, and a person's connection to nature and their ancestors. The interaction of these elements greatly influences one's overall state of health. And so what are the strategies that you have put in place for the well-being of Native peoples?
So to start out with, I'm also been involved with our Mohawk language. I've been involved in our Mohawk Immersion school. So some of the things that we've done as a community was we took over our own education system. Because as you know, even though we live in Canada, the mainstream education is all what Western, if you would say Western world views, their way of knowing. But starting from 1984, our community, I say, started our own Ministry of Education, where we said our students are going to learn our language, they're going to learn our culture, they're going to learn our ceremonies, they're going to learn our worldview, our treaties. And the whole idea is to try to get back to living in harmony with nature, because if you look at how we've been colonized, look at my home, you know, even though we have all of these ideas and these ways of living, we don't all do that on a daily, regular basis, because we got electricity, we drive cars, we got running water, and all of these things, as you know, are not really conducive to living in harmony with nature. And then if we say, all right, well, we need extra land, we want land, and the government says, no, just this little reserve that you're on is your land. So we're kind of like stuck. But the thing that we do have is we have our cycle of ceremonies. Because as people, it begins at midwinter time, and then it's all seasonal about all of the sacred ceremonies, songs, dances, rituals, speeches that we continue to do in our own language. So maybe we don't kind of live it every day, but what we do is we know that all of those things in the natural world need to be acknowledged and thanked. Because as human beings, we don't really matter in the bigger scheme of things. You know, some people have this attitude that they feel they're going to have dominion over the earth, and then they're going to subjugate it and subdue it. But in the final analysis, you don't subdue nothing. All you'll do is subdue yourself. And global warming and climate change is now telling us naughty humans that you better rethink about your relationship with the natural world, because if not, yous are not going to be around very much longer. And we'll have no one to blame but ourselves in the final analysis, because we did it. When we go into our indigenous wisdom and knowledge, it says that at the beginning of humans, when they finally came to the realization about who they are, we were given these teachings, these ceremonies, these songs, these dances that always says to have an attitude of gratitude, that the earth is your mother, that the corn and beans and squash are your sisters, that the sun is our elder brother, the moon is our grandmother. We come from the stars, we're here for a time, we're going back home, we're already guaranteed everlasting life. And the only reason why we come to this lower world is to be thankful, to sing our sacred songs every day. Hamba, hibaya, hamba, asha. Dance to creation and be mindful of those future generations coming, so that when they will be born, they will inherit a happy, safe, clean, beautiful, peaceful, loving home. And look what's happening. So when we look at our spirituality, when we look at our languages, when we look at our ceremonies, songs, and dances, and all of that, that's well-being, because it says, this walking soil, love it, treat it well. Then treat all your family, your brothers and your sisters well, the human family. Then the earth family. and then the ancestral family. And when you put that all together, then you're a whole balanced person because you know what it is to understand love. So anyways, I think my time is up, but that's what we've been doing as a community here where I'm from, on the South Shore of Montreal. And climate change now asks us all about what are the personal sacrifices that we're going to have to start to do in order to do in our daily actions, things that are more conducive. Walk, ride your bicycle, get an electric car, start getting off of fossil fuels, because we all have a personal responsibility that we can do. So yeah, so these are just some of the things anyway, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your insight about how we need to be returning to harmony with nature, as well as some practical ways that people can start to do that. I'm going to go ahead and pass this back to Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you so much, Kevin, for addressing this wonderful question and this great answer that you just gave us. Maybe at the end we would like to know a little bit more about your community, and we will pass the questions and the word to everybody to know a little bit more of your communities. Right now we will address a question number 3 that it will be addressed by Ria Joy Arang. This is a video that she shared with us. So Alexia will give us, will share the screen with this video. She's addressing the question, what strategies can be implemented to promote their well-being? Thank you, Alexia.
Hi everyone, my name is Ria Joy Odong and I'm from Uganda and I'm 19 years old. For the strategies that I've implemented in my life to make me live better, if I can say, first of all, I've used the skills that I've attained from the education, from the education at school and also from friends, all the skills that I've gained, I've been able to implement them for me to have more of a financial gain and getting business skills to help in the near future so that I can be able to start a small business. And also, I've been more invested in living a healthy lifestyle, and this has helped me actually remain really healthy for a very long time. And yeah, if I can say, basically that's it. And also learning from other people, like seeing what people are doing and learning from them, it also has really helped me get a better lifestyle and better mindset, if I can say. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think she's highlighting really important points about the well-being. And now I would like to ask Michelle if she can present the other panelists. Thank you, Michelle.
Hi, everyone. Next, we would like to ask Chief Tamale if he'd be willing to speak on how climate change has affected the well-being of Native peoples. Chief Tamale, can you hear us?
Hello? Hello?
Hi. Hi. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi.
Good morning.
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yes, greetings to everybody. I feel I'm honored to be part of to join your discussion. The well-being of our indigenous people will greatly depend on how these indigenous people really understand the ecological challenges of our time, because we all know that this planet, the planet Earth, is undergoing through an ecological evolution, and that means that the Mother Earth is giving birth to new life, while it is giving away some of the values that can no longer support life. So we see that the communities today, we will have to embrace the transformation within their own, socially and economically, within their own systems, where our people have been practicing certain things which cannot work at this time. So the way these communities will adapt the new values that Mother Earth is giving life to, will also determine how their well-being, how they solve the climate situation that the planet is faced with. So I view it from that perspective, and I think that is one of the determining factors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Tamale. We appreciate your wisdom. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Vane.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you so much, Chief Tamal, for this answer and to sharing all of your knowledge with everybody today. So now we would like to present our next panelist and to address the question, how can different sectors of society contribute to the well-being of Native peoples? Our next panelist is Kwan Out Design Manwa. Do you hear us? I think you're muted. Can you hear us, Kwang? I am not sure if it's hearing us. Well, we'll check with Kwan if his audio is okay. So maybe we can pass the word to
Mike, do you want to take that question instead, if you're willing to?
What's the question?
Yeah, the question is, thank you so much, Mike. The question is, how can different sectors of society contribute to the well-being of Native peoples?
Well, I think the place that we find ourselves in is a lack of spirituality, a lack of understanding of who we are. We use our intellectual minds, and we're in this time of awakening of consciousness, and so the young people that we were told were coming, such as yourselves, are here to do something on this earth. And the young people are awakening, and they're looking at what's happening to the earth. And we were told about this time when these new spirited ones would be sent to the earth. So I think we're all indigenous to this earth, whether we're white, black, yellow, or red. And so I think the biggest thing that mainstream society can do is to look within themselves, to check themselves out. The dogma of world religion and the dogma of world economics is destroying a relationship that we've forgotten about. And so we're frantically trying to correct the attitudes and the thinking of the way society has functioned, and the ones I think that we really need to focus on are the relationship that we have with the mother. Going back to ceremony, giving thanks to creation. You know, you guys all work. You know what it feels like when you're working real hard and nobody's appreciating you, nobody's giving you a pat on the back, nobody's saying, "Oh, good job." But you know, just think of how it must feel for nature and all the animals that are dying, and nobody's paying attention to them, and they're starving for a relationship again with the people. This relationship that we all had as spiritual beings on this earth, and they're crying out, "Look at me, look at me," just like an angry child or an angry person. "Look at me, I'm here." And so when those relationships are not nurtured, then eventually the earth is going to say, "Well, if you don't want to pay attention to the trees, if you don't want to pay attention to the whales, if you don't want to pay attention to the water, well, you don't need us then. So we're going to disappear." And so I think for us, it's us building the relationship with those that want relationship, and the earth right now and the spirits right now are just so hungry for a relationship. Uh, they don't want to go away, and they don't want us to go away because we're part of this. We're not above it, but we're part of it. And so mainstream society needs to ingrain spirituality, and we're told by many of the elders, by many of the teachers, by the Kogi, by all of them that you know, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to disappear that aren't going to embrace that thinking. And so if we want to move forward, that's what we were told by our prophets and our prophecies. And I've been studying prophecy and connecting prophecies all over, and the message is the same. You know, we're trying to work our way back to original instruction, and we need to work with those people that are going to do that. We don't need to. I don't want to be in conflict anymore with somebody that's not going to listen to me, that somebody's got a hidden agenda, that somebody's moving in deception. I want to work with people that are going to move in the same direction as me and build a light. And then that light's going to be so bright that people are going to get attracted to it. And so that may not answer the question, but I think that's the direction that we can best serve them so that they can awaken to see the light. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, and you highlighted really important points about that we are all indigenous of the earth and that we need to pay attention to the environment, to what's going on. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think Con, it's ready?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Con. Do you think you can give us your highlights for the question, how can different sectors of society contribute to the well-being of Native peoples?
Yes, of course. And good morning to everyone. I'm very honored to be part of this discussion. And I would just like to say that the way that people, others group can help to better the life of people is like helping others or teach others how to live together. Because in my country, because I come from Cameroon, we are coming from so many different backgrounds. We have so many cultural background, and when you simply say your name in a particular region, they will just look at you as if you were a stranger, despite the fact that we are in the same country. So the authorities, I mean the administrative authorities or even the traditional authorities can teach others how to love their siblings. I mean, even in the educational sector, we can teach children how to maybe love their friends and how to live together with them. And if we are all focused on one issue, that is the protecting the environment, that can help us to share uh, the, the same will, and then we can collaborate together and live in peace, because there are so many, let's say, hatred and so many bad things in Cameroon because of cultural background, because we are coming from so many different cultural backgrounds. So I would like maybe the authorities to really work on it, to educate people more about the living together and caring of the nature. So that's the biggest problem we are facing. And I think if we solve this problem, the other will be better or easier.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kwan, for this really important highlights. We believe that the caring for nature and to love everybody and to know how to live together is really important. So I think it's a great highlight that you just mentioned to us. And now I would like to ask each panelist if you can share with us your important conclusion, and also if you can share a little bit more about your community, the name of your community, and I mean a little bit more about some traditions and culture. We will give each panelist 5 minutes to address these comments, starting with Kevin Deere. Could you give us the honor? Thank you so much.
So to conclude then, when we're looking at the environment, the first thing that we have to ask ourselves is that we have to understand that we are the earth. We are the consciousness of the earth, we're the voice of the earth, we're the eyes of the earth. We are one. So how can we destroy the very thing that sustains us? One of the things that we got to look at is the whole idea of money, because this thing that people produced is what is causing all of this problem. Because then what happens is people put themselves into positions of power because they have more wealth, because they whatever. Because all of us are human beings. We're not supposed to have this idea that we think that we're better than anybody else. You know, we're not supposed to be destroying the environment because of profits that could be made at the end of the day. So the monetary system, the way it's established right now, has to go. Capitalism has to go. We need a new kind of currency that says that there is no hierarchy. There is only love. There is only working together with animals, all of the things that we need. When we are born, we are given our birthright. And for us, it's supposed to be one dish with one spoon. And that one dish with one spoon, I feel, has to apply to the whole earth, because then it means there's no hierarchy, but at the same time, there is no poverty and famine. We're supposed to all be living like a seesaw in equality so that we can all prosper together. But this system of capitalism and this idea that people are better because of whatever, money, power, wealth, all of that stuff has to go. If we don't change the way, like was stated, you know, if we don't change the way we're doing business, as far as goods, services, consuming, all this different kinds of stuff, well, we're already seeing global warming, climate change, emergency that we're in now, and we all have to start disengaging from that. We got to understand that all of us are sacred beings, that we have no right to kill another human being. I don't care who you are, what justification you are. If you're a human being, you're supposed to see that the great sacred creator, great mystery, God, whatever you want to call that, exists within every human being. That we all have a right, to live in peace, to have our things afforded at our birth. But all of that has kind of like been taken away by the bankers and the people who run and control the world. So we have to understand that we all have to change what we're doing, and we have to bring everything back in balance, because everything is out of whack right now because of power, because of war, because of manipulation and control. And if we're going to save ourselves, we got to come back and understand that all of us together equally can make it better. Can we do that? That's the challenge. Anyways, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Right, a phrase in my head right now is that all together equally can make everything better. So I was right now trying to write that quote when you finished your participation, and I really got really impacted with that phrase. Thank you so much, Kevin. And we would like to ask you about your community. What's the name of your community, if you feel good sharing it with us?
Sure. So I live in Ganawage, which is on the south shore of Montreal. We are a Mohawk community, and we are also part of a sovereign government that also influenced the United States, because in 1754, Benjamin Franklin asked a group of our people to go to Albany for what he referred to as the Albany Plan of the Union. And when you look at our Constitution, this is what it is. I could go on for the next week and talk about all of this, but this is the Constitution of the 5 nations. Anyway, so our community has been subjected to everything. Right from 1534, when Jacques Cartier sailed from France and then stopped over here. So we were one of the first nations then to, have to deal with this, I don't know what you want to call it, but this assault that happened, because then we were Christianized, we were introduced to money, we were, the moldboard plow, this whole new way of agriculture and planting and doing all that stuff. But if you look at where we are, we're lucky that today in 2021, we still have our language, we still have our ceremonies, our songs, our dances, our own creation story, and all of that onslaught. We were able to say, no, we're not going to be absorbed. We're going to still be here. So what we do now as a community, as I said, since we started taking over our own education and our own ways of being, we have immersion schools, we have language nests, we have our own high school that we started here now. Now we have different people that are looking at food security. We're looking at hydroponics. We're looking at getting people to get back to the land. Since COVID started, a lot of people now have gardens. They started getting back to gardens because we know that we can't rely on other people for food production. So that's the number one thing. How are you able then to start to sustain yourself? Do you have the ability to grow what we call our own sovereign seeds? Because as you know, Monsanto and then the seed corporations, they're trying to get the rights to all of our seeds, and we can't let that happen. The next thing, do we have fresh water? So as a community, we're trying to look at all of these things, because if the system doesn't change, we know it's going to collapse, because we are not on a planet that has all of these resources that are going to last forever. These resources are finite. They're beginning to diminish. As they begin to diminish, things are going to collapse. And when it happens, what are the people going to do? So we better start thinking ahead and start putting some things in place, so that when everything starts to fall apart, at least we will have the foresight to start saying, well, how are we going to feed our people? Let's make sure we got water, and let's start building community. Let's start building love and relationships. So these are some of the things that I'm involved with. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kevin. So now we would like to ask Chief Tamal if he can share with us his final comments, his conclusion, and also a little bit about your culture, your community, if you feel comfortable with it. Thank you so much, Chief Tamal, for being here and for sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you once again. What I can say, my message to the indigenous people is that first of all, we must develop that self-confidence. We must know that nobody is going to make us to be who we are. We must determine our own destiny through our own action. We need to develop the confidence, come out, because this confidence was robbed, it was taken away by religious people, by the politicians, by recently development. People are now developing, forcefully taking all the sacred land because we are poor. So we must change and start competing. This is a competitive world. I'm glad with my brother who just shared out that they have started on these programs, because that is the direction we have to take. Our people must develop the capacity, economic capacity and social capacity to protect their identities. We have to set up the schools to educate even the other people to appreciate that actually, instead of demonizing, they have to change their mindset. We have to write the books so that other people can also appreciate our role. This planet belongs to the indigenous people. A lot of messages are being received by the indigenous people, but you find in most parts of the world, they are the most marginalized people. How do we rise up? So it is very, very important at this point in time that we become competitive, we develop the self-confidence, and we start we start reconnecting with the source of wisdom, with the spirits at different levels. You find, especially in my country here, the spiritual chiefs are not taken seriously. People think religion can do everything. People think science can do everything. But with COVID-19, with this pandemic, it has been a very different case. We have seen people getting healed by using the indigenous knowledge. While we have lost so many people in those who have gone to receive treatment in the modern systems. So I think if we develop the confidence in ourselves and we start exploring all the wisdom that has been left by our forefathers, I think we can make a change socially and economically and become competitive. And that way, we shall be able to protect all the sacred grounds that where certain values of life, instead of leaving them to the investors, instead of leaving them to the government, we need also to start engaging the government so that the policies can change. You find that the policies are not favoring indigenous people. So generally, I think this is time we need to use this ecological space provided by the pandemic and the changes within the natural system to start designing and embrace the necessary transformation socially and economically. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chief Tamal, for this great inputs. We definitely think that to educate people, it's a really relevant point, and you just brought a really important point. There was develop the self-confidence and explore the wisdom to create a change socially and economically way. So thank you so much, Chief Tamal, for these wonderful words and to share this knowledge with us. And we would like to ask you a little bit about your culture, if you feel comfortable to mention your community and a little bit about it. Would you like to share with us?
To share about my culture?
Yeah, the name of your community.
Okay, I have no problem. I'm proud of my culture. I have defended my culture at all levels. And actually, as an indigenous chief, you cannot excel, you cannot rise from a community if if you don't love your identity, if you don't portray it, if you don't show it to others, if you don't speak it out. But I belong to a family of chiefs in the past, and the chieftaincy that I hold now was last seen in Africa in about now 200 years. You know, the coming of colonials of the colonial masters and religion mainly targeted those chiefs that had the power in their communities, the power of the land. So they targeted them, and much of the spirits that were in charge started disappearing. So this is how Africa became so weak, and this is how these foreign people managed to manipulate our spirituality to such a level that we have to go a long way to awaken the silent energies. But Buganda Kingdom is one of the longest kingdoms in Africa. And we have a king at one time, because of the political situation here, about 20 to 30 years, the kingdom was removed by some of the leaders at that time. But because the culture is deeply enrooted in our people, in our clans, we have about 54 clans, and these clans are the pillars of the system. So each clan has a role, and they have a role, and that role begins from the homes. It rises up to the top, up to the kingdom. So it is very easy within our society to identify the clan from which one person comes from by mentioning his name. When I mention the name that I'm Tamale, my people will definitely know the clan where I belong, and the duties the responsibility, the cultural roles that I'm supposed to perform. Everybody will know immediately. So our system was designed in such a way that it has been able to survive even some of the external forces. And today we are trying to revive it. We have gone to the level of not only supporting our people here, but also assisting the other communities, the other indigenous communities that previously had strong cultural institutions, but over time were removed. So we are sending out our chiefs to those places to assist them, rejuvenate and awaken all the silent energies, so that together we can work together in unity to see that we rise up as native people. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Chief Tamal, for sharing a little bit more about your culture. So now we would like to ask Mike if Mike can give us his conclusions and also can talk a little bit about your community, please.
Yes. Again, I guess I'm doing my part in what I see. One of the profound teachers of the society that I belong to is the Madawan people, which means to speak from the heart. And about maybe 12, 13 years ago, one of our profound teachers, Jim Dumont, spoke some words about this time on the earth and this time of prophecy. And what he said is that the Spirit is speaking, and you may be the only one that the Spirit is speaking to. You may be the only one that is listening. What is that message? And if you don't listen to that message, what impacts is that going to have on the generations to come? And so if you if you see the rendition of the picture behind, it's about the seven fires prophecy in this time of fork in the road. And all of these prophecies seem to be, you know, even the Catholics. I met a Catholic woman the other day who said, we're not all the same. It does transcendental meditation. There are prophecies that the Catholic Church holds that they're not sharing with the people because they want to maintain a control over things. There are prophecies of each of the cultures, and I work with Muslims who carry prophecy as well about a time before the creation of the earth when all the spirits came to an agreement of being on Turtle Island at this time on the earth to come together again in brotherhood and in sisterhood. The Japanese hold a 12,000-year-old prophecy. The Buddhist monks are beginning a migration and a movement to North America, and our Grand Chief, our teacher who has passed, set a foundation in a little over 50 years of a re-emergence of the Midewiwin teachings, and gave us the information that we could move forward with. And so this time is a time of spiritual awakening. This time is about prophecy. And if each of us look back in our own teachings, you know, in our history, not the history of 100 years ago or 500 years ago, but the history of life on this earth. You know, when you think about the times of Moses, the times of Muhammad, the teachings, and in our own teachings, we have similar times when we forgot our instruction. The sweat lodge came to the people, the pipe came to the people, the big drum came to the people. So there were these times that the Creator saw that we lost our way, and we were given tools to help find our way back. And those tools still exist, and those are the tools that we need to seek out at this time on the earth. You know, when you try and put logic and intellect, you know, John Trudell, one of the founders of the American Indian movement, spoke about intellect, and he says, if you're using intellect and you're using your mind to think, then you're not believing, because there is no logic in spirit. We see that in the Charlton Heston movie about Moses when he parts the Red Sea, and he leads the people to the Red Sea, and everybody's yelling at him because he's led them to a death. Well, he said, "This is where I was told to be," and then something happened, and those are the places and those are the things that we're going to arrive at. We're struggling to have relationship. It's like somebody that's in an abusive marriage. Why do you stay in that marriage? They may ask that person why. Oh, well, they love me. Well, they don't demonstrate love, and belief is not something that you can speak in words. Belief is an action. Love is an action. And so when we get dreams, when we get visions, when we connect with people that have dreams and visions, and they work on those things, those are the people I like working with. You know, manifesting Creator's words, manifesting the things that can't be seen, and because the reason why we're in this situation is because government lacks spirit. The churches lack spirit. They don't want people to listen to something that's greater than them, and greatness is about ego. That greatness is about control. And so the one that's in control on this earth and the one that controls the earth is creator. So why are we going to go listen to somebody else? Why are we going to try and change policies that are not connected to spirit? We've been given instruction and it's all within our grasp. I was a 60 scoop child. I guess to tell you share a little bit about my community. I was a 60 scoop child. I was taken at birth. My relationship with my home community is a little weak, I guess you could say. My home reserve. But I found Medewan Lodge, and I found great teachings there. And I'm living in an ambulance right now, and I'm moving around. I just finished a spiritual walk about a week ago. I've been on many spiritual walks. I've worked with grandmother Josephine, who walked almost 30,000 kilometers for the water, with a message from spirit that came from Sundance, and it's brought a consciousness of awareness of water around the world. And that didn't come from going to a university or talking to a politician or talking to a scientist. That came from a message from spirit through a Sundance.
Yes.
And she followed that, not knowing what it was that she was doing. And I walk the same way, and it's unstable. It may seem chaotic. It may seem all kinds of crazy things, but it's manifesting into something that's beautiful because it's coming from creator. It's coming from the ancestors. It's supported by that network that we once had, and we were told to return to that. And this is what that rendition of what's in the background picture talks about, those two roads. And that road now that I see about this vaccination, about everybody get vaccinated and we can get back to normal and we can be part of the final assault on the earth. We can be part of it. We can go to the movies. We can go into all the stores. We can buy everything again. And all those people that aren't vaccinated, well, they won't be able to work and they won't be able to participate in this great thing that we have here. Well, this great thing that they're trying to convince us that we have is what's killing the earth. And so I've chosen not to get vaccinated. And when I was in Mexico at a conference, a gathering there of the eagle and the condor, a Mayan man came out of the mountains. And they said, "Aren't you worried about getting sick?" He said, "Why would I worry about getting sick?" He said, "The spirit runs through me, and this sickness needs to attach itself to something. And the flow of life runs through me so quickly that there's nothing that it can attach itself to." A message came from an elder 70 years ago of a vision. And it was about this time of this sickness that was coming to the earth, and about these needles that were coming, that they weren't going to be here to help us. And so I live by those words. When we look at social media, when we listen to the news, when we listen to the politicians, we're getting the same great promise again and again that all of this is going to be fixed, and we're going to be able to live this great life again. It's still part of the false promise of what they brought here right from the beginning. They're maintaining that false promise. So I'll just say that much, and I thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you for highlighting really important points about the lack of spirit that we really have right now in society, and that we need to look back to our own history. I think that's really great points that you just bring out, and thank you so much for this great conclusion and to sharing about your community. So I think we have Cone our design manual to share her conclusion, and a little bit about their community, but I am not sure. They mentioned that it was having some internet issues, so I don't know if you are there. If not, we can just pass the word to Michelle to continue. Kwan Design, are you there?
Almost there.
I think she will share her conclusion via email.
Oh man.
That's okay.
Hello once more. I'm sorry, but I won't take long because my battery is very low. I'll just add to what the others said with the education, because it's very important to educate people on the living together. Because as I was saying, we have so many cultural diversities in Cameroon, and we have so many hatred, and it comes as at times people don't even refuse their children to get married to someone in another region. For example, when you are coming from the north region, it's almost impossible for you to marry someone from the south, and that's a very big issue that we should solve, because we are always seeing each other as strangers, and we have to know that we are on earth, we have the same mother, that is the nature, and we should act like single children, loving each other, caring for each other, and not just fighting against each other. That's not the fact. So we should come together in order to let's say, to protect the nature, to care for the nature together. So I'll call the authorities and the higher authorities who have money and so on, who are well positioned to uh, put up in their minds that we are one. We are a single person. We are humans, and because here, for example, when a higher authority is coming from a region, this particular region will be more developed than the other region of the country, because he will focus himself only on that part of the country, and that's a big problem. Even when there is financial help to, let's say, protect the nature or implement some resolution in order to take care of the environment, they will just keep this for this particular region. And when a highest authority is not coming from, maybe from the west region will not be developed or will not benefit from this financement. So that's the very big problem we are facing here. Only love, we should learn how to love each other, and also how to love our own culture, as the others were saying, because I'm still fighting and struggling to learn my mother tongue. I don't even know my own mother tongue, because all around the country we are afraid to speak our mother tongue, because when you open your mouth and pronounce a word, they will just know that you are coming from this part of the country, and at times you are losing jobs, you are losing. So there are so many discrimination in every sector in Cameroon because of tribalism. So it's very frustrating. Even our traditional meal is still difficult for people, especially women or young ladies like me, to know how to cook their own traditional meal. And that's the base, that's something very important. That's our heritage. So I would just like them and call authorities to work hard in order to educate people in secondary school or in primary school, educate people, little children, to love their own culture so that they can share it to or with others, and also love the other culture, because we cannot just love our own culture without and rejecting the others. So we should learn how to accept the diversity, the cultural diversity, and then we can live together. And these children will also learn their parents, because they already have their mindset about the culture, about the relations in society, and so on. So I think if we start from the primary school with little children, that will be more easy. I'm very grateful because I've learned so much since I'm in the pop movement, because in our group, for example, in Cameroon, we have so many people coming from different regions of Cameroon, and we are working together. This reflects the image of peace, the image of living together. And when we go to the field, people just look at us and then realize that it's possible for us to work together as one, despite our cultural background and so on. We have Anglophones, we have Francophones who are working together in order to protect the nature and showing people how to care, how to love the nature. And that's very wonderful. I'm grateful, and I thank you all for this initiative. That is just a blessing from the heaven. I'm just so happy to be part of this movement. So I encourage all of us to let them know, let the others know that there are something very important we should care about. That's the nature. And for this, we have to love ourselves, love others, and become, let's say, leaders and example all around our communities. So for my community, I come from the Mifi region. That's the west part of the country of Cameroon. And in the west, in this region, we have so many other diversities. So the particularity of Cameroon is that it is a melting pot of so many cultures. So in the west region, we will find also people coming from the north, from the south, and from the east. And then we are just trying to live together and promote our own culture. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Juan, for sharing these really great points about loving each other, educate, and stop fighting each other and protect the nature. We really definitely think that these are really, really important points. And thank you so much for sharing a little bit about you and about your community. And now I would like to pass the word to Michelle so she can conduct us to what's next. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Anna. Kevin, would you like to give your presentation now?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna go to share screen here. This doesn't come up. Let me see. Do I still have the ability to share screen?
Yes, you have. Maybe you can try and let us know.
All right, I'm just here again. Okay. Well, as I mentioned a little earlier, this is our circle wampum. This is our constitution of our government, the 5 nations, but it's also spiritual. And this is what influenced Ben Franklin in 1754 at the Albany Plan of the Union, when a great chief of our people by the name of Hendricks explained about our government. So now we believe that we're spiritual people. We're connected to our ancestors. My late grandfather came to me in a dream, and he shared with me all kinds of things about what happens to us when we pass on and we go into the ancestral realm. And as you can see, here's that circle wampum. Sitting around it are all of the ancestors. And right here in the center of that is the earth. So I asked him, I said, Grandpa, I said, how do we communicate like this? And you're supposed to be dead. He said, there's no such thing as that. He says, when I passed on and went into the ancestral realm, this is how it is. He said, all of us, from the beginning of time, we sit in a giant sky world council, and as big as a little drop of water is the earth. And we're always intervening from the spiritual to the physical, back and forth, because if we ever stopped, he says, then the earth will dry up and there's no more life. And then I was also given another revelation of this about 3 years ago in May, because this picture is hanging right here when you come in my room, in my house. And I don't know, I can't explain it, but there was this big profound thought that came and said, okay, now we'll give you a deeper meaning of this. So now this earth that is in the center, don't look at it as an earth, envision it as a human egg. These ancestors that are sitting around in a circle, don't imagine it as ancestors, but look at it as human sperm. So what happens is one sperm is going to connect with that egg and hey, look around, here we are, the miracle of life. Because if the egg and the sperm ever stop connecting, there's no more life. If the ancestor spiritual realm ever stopped connecting with this little drop of earth, then there's no more life. So anyway, now just imagine that for a minute. If all of us could imagine that we are spiritual beings, because we are, and then we're supposed to be connecting with this life, with this earth, because this is our roles, this is our duties, this is our responsibilities. Anyway, because we were so believed in this idea, and I shared that with many people here in my reserve, my family in particular, we all understood now a different concept about how we understood the ancestral realm. So now I'm going to tell a story about my dad. So my dad ended up getting a heart attack on December 2014. When that happened, I called some of our medicine people. We got together and we did ceremony over his bed. And the doctors were surprised because he came out of it right away and he lasted 8 more months. 4 months after his heart attack, and then to the day that he's going to die, my dad said to me one day, he said, well, son, he says, if anything happens to me again, he says, I don't want to be resuscitated. Just let me go back home. I said, okay, Dad. I says, well, I said, let's put that in writing, because as we know, how the doctors are and all of that. So anyways, we did. And then what happened now is the day that my dad is going to die, my mom called me up and she said, the hospital just called. Your dad fell. He go see what's wrong with him. So we have a little hospital here in the reserve. So I went there. When I got there, the nurse said, we already called the ambulance. We're going to send your dad into the Jewish general. So when I walked in his room, I said, how are you? He said, all right. I said, are you hurt? He said, no, not really. But I noticed he had 2 big lumps on his head. He had a cut in his arm. Anyway, because he was on this blood thinner Coumadin, they said, well, we're going to send you to Montreal General. So I jump in the ambulance. We go there. And the last big conversation that we had, my dad says, what time is it? I said, it's 8 o'clock. He says, well, come on, let's go home. I said, well, let's just wait. Anyway, long story short, all of a sudden I look at him and he goes into cardiac arrest. And the doctor was there. He got the defibrillator. He was going to give it to him. And I told the doctor, I said, nope. I said, let him go. The doctor says, what? I said, let him go. I says, he already said that he doesn't want to be resuscitated, so let him go. Anyway, he monitored his heart and he pronounced him deceased at 9:29. Anyways, I was with his body now for that little bit. And as he was going through that transition, I was holding his hand and I was talking to him about, leaving this world. Anyways, we stayed with his body till it got cold. The family came over. Then we go back to my parents' house. And not that day that he died, on that August 17, it was hot. I said, it's too hot. I'm going to sit on the porch. I want to go sit on the porch. And my partner came and she says, hey, what kind of bird is that on the line? And I look and it was a mourning dove. I said, mourning dove. She said, well, how come there's only one? I said, well, that's a sign my mother's going to be alone now for the rest of her life. Anyways, I started to think about my relationship with my dad, the good, the not so good. Then I started to feel guilty, because I was thinking to myself, I said, if I didn't tell that doctor to let him die, he probably would use the defibrillator. My dad would still be alive. I don't know what condition. Anyways, I was struggling with that guilt. And I could feel my eyes start to tear up, the lump in my throat. My stomach wasn't feeling good. And then I said, Dad, I says, you know what? I says, I need some kind of a sign from you to reassure me that you're in a good place right now and that everything is all right. And another story that happened in May of 1999, my dad came visit me one day. And as he was walking up the steps where my clothesline is, because it was right near my door, this little fledgling robin, a bird, comes land on my line like this. So I told my dad, I said, this little bird is a messenger. I said, watch this, we're going to get some message. Anyways, he came in, I made coffee, we're drinking coffee. All of a sudden the phone rings and it's a good friend of mine. His name is Tom Porter. He's also one of the spiritual leaders for our nation, the Mohawk Nation. And Tom Porter says, Kevin, I need a favor. I says, what? He says, our good friend Ward? I said, yeah. He says, I just got word that his 3-year-old daughter died. He said, there's no way I could make it to help out with the funeral. He said, could you go? I said, absolutely. So that's a second story, bird on the line. So now as I'm going through this guilt and not feeling good about telling the doctor to let my dad die, I said, Dad, I said, between me and you, we know there's no such thing as death. You're in the ancestral realm now. I says, you're always connecting back and forth with the earth. I says, if I open my eyes and you could give me a sign that you're okay, I said, that would be great. I said, if I open my eyes and there's nothing there, I said, that's great too. So then I was thinking to myself, I said, imagine if I open my eyes and my dad gives me a sign. So now my dad's name is Fred. Our last name is Deer. And this whole story started because my partner says, what kind of bird is that on the line? So now just to show about the ancestral realm, and for us, there's no such thing as death. I'm going to show you the picture because when I opened my eyes, I said, where's my camera? Where's my phone? I got to get a picture of this, because I said, if I tell people this story, they're going to say, oh, no, that's not true. You just made it up. So here it is. So now the message comes in the form in the clouds. My dad's name is Freddie. Here's the letter F. Now the mourning dove flew away. He's not on the line anymore. But if you look right here, here's a bird. Here's its neck. Here's its body. Here's its wing. And in the wing is the letter D. So Fred, deer, bird on the line. Anyways, I'll leave you with that little story, because for us, as I said, there's no such thing as death. We go into the ancestral realm. We live forever. We come here to love this place, to be good to one another, to live in harmony with the Mother Earth, to be mindful of those future generations coming. It's so simple, it's so beautiful, but yet we have all of this war, all of this conflict, for what? Anyway, all I'll say is then hopefully that with this little story that I shared, that will give you some comfort, some understanding about the ancestral realm, and these little stories that I shared with you to empower you to be absolutely fearless. There's no such thing as death. We just go into another part of our spiritual journey, and that's forever. And we come from love and we're returning to love. All of this conflict that people can think, they can think that, but for us, there's no such thing as that when we leave this place and go into the ancestral realm, because we become part of that sacred energy that is working always in connection with this earth, so life could go on. How beautiful is that? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for sharing your beautiful story. And thank you to all of the panelists. Really, we really appreciate having each of you here. So thank you. And we have a question from the audience for Kevin. It's from Star. And her question is that these are all good ideas for people who live near Native peoples. How can we join those groups to learn more and to see how we can learn now to assist the process?
So that's why I answered it, part of it anyways, in the chat. And I said that, well, first of all, for our people anyway, there are great people that are out there that you can Google, like, you know, Tom Porter, there's Oren Lyons, there's Rick Hill, there's Gudsy Cook, but just punch in the Longhouse people, the 5 or the 6 Nations Iroquois Confederacy. And then you'll be able to hear about our creation story, about who we are, what we had to do when these 2 so-called little babies came into our land, and then we were the government at the time, and then they took these ideas. Now we're subjected, and then they're up here, and all that has to change, because as I said, you know, everything is out of whack right now, and the indigenous spiritual resurrection is here. We're resurrecting up, and hopefully people will come to the realization that we all better start to see different, hear different, speak different, and we better start doing different, and for the future generations coming, because time is of the essence now. You know, we have no more time for lies, deceit, deception. We've got to put our best collective thinking together and ask ourselves, what is the solution that we can do for these future generations, so that when Greta Thunberg says, you know, my future, I don't have no hope because you adults are acting like, you know, your house is on fire and you don't even see it. So anyway, we have to bring that knowledge to the forefront because it's critical. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to give anybody else the chance to ask a question either in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you have any questions for any of the panelists. Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay. And thank you again, Kevin, for sharing. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the POP movement has recently partnered with PicStory, which is a new social media platform for a climate initiative campaign titled Right for Change, to bring about a change in the climate debate as we approach COP26, like Kevin was asking about earlier. Our vision is to reach 1.8 billion youth around the world and to collect 1 million climate change stories from 195 countries over the course of 45 days. And we're going to start this on September 15th, 2021. The stories, which will explore the science, nuances, misinformation, opportunities, personal experiences, and much more, will be presented at COP26 in Glasgow on November 1st, 2021. And we humbly request your invaluable support and partnership to bring this vision to fruition. We request that you download the PicStory app, create a user profile, share climate stories, and support the stories that are going to be posted by the POP movement. PicStory will provide you a platform to share your values and initiatives to protect the planet, and the application will enable you to share your own climate stories, showcase your personal experiences and actions, and motivate others to take action for the planet. With consistent posting, you'll have the opportunity to earn one of their 3 badges, which are called the Star User, Topic Expert, or Public Figure, depending on your integrity score and proficiency in any given topic. And the 1 million stories will be hosted on PicStory. And once the application has been downloaded and a profile has been created, stories can be posted with up to 12 images, 360 words, and/or 1 minute of audio. And posts on climate change can be tagged with the different hashtags, including climate change, POP movement, Right for Change, COP26, or Glasgow. And finally, we would like to invite Vera from the World Council of Peoples for the United Nations to provide us with some closing words. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. Kevin, thank you. Mike, Chief Tamali, Cogni, thank you so much. This was such a beautiful panel. As was expected, the Indigenous communities have so much wisdom, and their practices and knowledge is something that we have to learn from. Well, a few remarks that I want to make is just like it was said, the lack of spirituality that we have is something that unfortunately characterizes the Western people. We do need to learn that from you. We need to ground ourselves and to learn where we come from. We are so not aware of that, and that's something that doesn't give us some kind of personality. We need to have that. We need to look more into who our ancestors are, and that's something that you all have. You all are very aware of where you come from, and that's something that we don't really have. We need to also live together. We need to evolve together and to incorporate this wisdom if we want to have a chance against this climate crisis and the systemic crisis that we're also going through. And we need to go beyond. We need to actually question our institutions and the way that we have built this this whole civilization. We need to go to the root of it. We need to, instead of just trying to patch institutions, and we need to just erase them. We need to, from the world that we have now, we need to build new institutions and to incorporate everyone in those, and to build a new planet. I don't know how to say it, but yes, we need to just question the very philosophical basis on which we build our civilization, and because it is not working, and the way that you have managed your territories are living proof that you know how to do things. So we need to learn from you, and that would be. Well, everyone spoke about building community and a really important point was food sovereignty. And I do believe that we need to lean more on that. And the confidence that was spoken by Chief Tamale, we need to help you to gain that confidence and to acknowledge you, and just to give you space for you to speak your minds and to learn. That's it. We need to learn more from you. We are not doing things the way we should, and it is bringing us to a point of maybe no return, and we need to do something about it. And well, something that really just left me thinking is what Kevin said, that we are the earth. How can we destroy the earth if we are the earth? And that was something that just really stick with me. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you to Ash, who is allowing us to use this space. Thank you to Vanessa. Thank you so much, Michelle. You made an amazing job as moderators. And thank you to everyone who was here to hear these beautiful words and beautiful contributions from your original nations. Kevin, thank you so much. Mike, again, to Chief Tamale, and Tommy, thank you so much. It was beautiful.
Okay, so that's it. We're done.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. And we'll have more sessions the next days at the same hour, the same link, in case you would like to join more sessions. And all of them are from different subjects, so they will be really enriching. So thank you so much, and see you tomorrow in the next panel. Have a wonderful day.
Ho, 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 onogiwai, onogiwai. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Thank you so much, Karin. Bye, everybody. Thank you.